Welcome, everybody. We'll get started in just a moment.
Great morning to you.
Oh, good morning to you.
How are you, Lou?
Doing great today. How about you?
Doing well. Glad to be here for sure.
Me too. Me too. Amen. Oh, there's Kara. It's our buddy Kara.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Well, you can open the waiting room if you wanted. Unclick the thing, and they'll just come in.
I turned it off.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Interact Studio. This is Human Touch. To our friends here in the Zoom room, we're so glad you're here, and also the folks joining us on YouTube. We're happy that you're here as well. This is a wonderful opportunity to talk with an authentic person doing interesting work. I'm Lou Solomon. I have a really fun guest with us today. Part of what we do is celebrate great communicators, and we need our heroes today more than ever. So let's get to it. Jeff Dugdale is the Associate Athletic Director and the Aquatics Director at Queen's University of Charlotte. And Doug is what you might call a super achiever. As I look down through the accolades in his 12 years coaching the swimming program at Queens, Jeff has been a part of 12 NCAA Championship titles, 6 for men, 6 for women's, including this year's 2021 championship. And that's just the beginning. So with me is my Interact teammate, Susie Adams, and she is going to do the interview with Jeff. She's been really excited about this. So Susie?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because I'm an Olympic super fan. I never want to be. And then every year I get sucked into the vortex and I'm obsessed with it. So Jeff, welcome. Thank you so much. Jeff has been a friend of ours for a bit. Before we talk specifically about Olympic sports and Olympic competition, I want to give you the chance to tell us a little bit about the swimming program at Queen's University of Charlotte and how it became such a powerhouse.
Yeah, well, thank you for the opportunity. I think one of the things we can attribute to our program is our unique position to Uptown Charlotte, the banking industry, the new energy sector, the everything great, the 4th fastest growing city in Charlotte, and being able to recruit some of the best student athletes who want to come and get a remarkable experience. I think the other thing is about our program and how we've been able to move quickly through the ranks is we had a strong vision, leveraging that unique position. We want to build leaders for life, coupled with the buy-in of our values. Our athletes engage in living excellence as a lifestyle, not as an event. In doing so, it helps develop their emotional intelligence. And in that development, comes aquatic intelligence for us. And then with that comes success.
That's great. That's amazing. Now, you have a number of international athletes and would love for you to reflect on what brings them to the university.
Yeah, our international presence is with purpose, on purpose. Our president is adamant that our university look like the world. And we feel that's part of the experience. I had a remarkable experience in college. My roommate was from Israel, a 3-time Olympian from Israel. And so I think back to the opportunities I had that were different because of that. And so having a diverse as well as an inclusive environment really adds to the university looking like the world and our team looking like the world. And I truly feel that helps our student athletes become decisive in their decisions and differentiates them in interviewing for jobs and or grad schools.
That's great. You had a number of athletes in the Olympics and now competing in the Paralympics. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, very proud. We had two representing Germany. Marius Kusch represented Germany. He swam with us, was a 3-time NCAA Swimmer of the Year. I could not be prouder of his journey. And he finished 23rd, a little disappointed in his finish. He was, but as he told me that he has 3 more years. And so he'll be, he also competed on the medley relay. He's a top 12 ranked in the world in the 100 fly. So he just, the nerves got to him a little bit, but I couldn't be more proud of how he handled it. And that experience will help him to the next one. We had Annabelle Knoll, who was one of our triathletes who went on to represent Germany as well in the triathlon. She was 31st individually, but more impressively, she got picked because of her individual success to participate in the mixed relay for Germany that got 6th. And then we had Felix Duchamp, who was a former track and field runner here and swimmer here, who also helped us in the startup of our triathlon team, represented Romania, and he finished 36th. And then I have Hannah Aspen, who will be representing the USA, and she leaves Saturday early morning, to Tokyo to begin her quest, not only to lead USA, but to come home with some medals. And I talked to her about an hour ago, which was just to let her know we love her and can't wait to see the great things.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. You know, I think when we reflect on this Olympics, we will think about mental health. This is the Olympics where mental health came to the forefront, largely because of the words and actions of Simone Biles, but also in the swimming lane, if you will. Michael Phelps has been very outspoken about his challenges and the importance of mental health. We'd love for you to talk about the mental well-being of elite athletes, your perspective on that, and how you help student athletes take care of their mental health.
Yeah. I appreciate this opportunity because of not only Michael Phelps, but in the swimming, you had Allison Schmidt, who is one of the most decorated now. She too has a very public, working closely with Michael and has trained with Michael, public announcement with her struggle with mental health. But I think to understand there's so many factors, and I always, I don't want to sound, I'm not a psychologist, and I didn't even stay at a Holiday Inn, so I can't even claim to be one. But here's the deal. I have it broken down into my coaching career. These are 4 to 5 things that I look for. One is achievement addiction. Achievement addiction is as a coach, we have to be careful of high performing athletes and or assistant coaches or peers who even with great successes do not celebrate or cannot have the ability to celebrate those successes. And those add to burnout and additional that whole situation of achievement addiction adds to mental health concerns. The second is expectations, individually and publicly, right? What are your expectations individually? Are they realistic? Are they, do you understand? A lot of times I have an athlete sit down to me and tell me they want to win a gold medal. And I tell them that is exactly where we need to start. But if we win a silver, are we going to be disappointed? Are we going to, what is the process that's going to take place? And what happens is a lot of elite athletes think it's all or none. And that comes into playing into a little bit of that achievement addiction, and that can lead to problems. And then the public expectations, NBC. You know, can you imagine? And I'm probably, I can't say that this happened, but NBC probably, with no right, I'll say that very clearly, probably had some part in the discussion about when Simone approached her coaches, and not in the real time moment, but as it got bigger, where she was going to go. I can almost guarantee that NBC Sports was contacted a little bit about what this is going to do in the ratings, what this does in the talking about Michael Phelps. The reason the ratings were live in the morning were because in 2008, when Michael had a chance to win the 8 medals, NBC saw the writing on the wall, and not only did they work with USA Swimming to change the event order so that it could better fit, they changed when the finals would be so that they could leverage and capitalize. Well, that's a lot of pressure, either directly or indirectly to an athlete. I also say it's what you do versus who you are. If you start to confuse as a high performing athlete, if you start to confuse and you don't have somebody, a coach or anybody to hold you accountable, it's very easy to take what you do and cross the line of who you are. And that becomes very dangerous because just like we are in our careers, we are defined. It's important that we shouldn't be defined any one way, but other than who we are, not what we do. That can seem to back you into a corner. You have friends and family. A lot of the pressure starts because last year when the Olympics were put off, you were so close. Could you hold on another year? Could you get through the COVID? Could you, people living their life through you and through the pressures of wanting it more than, and possibly more than you? I've had many conversations with an elite athlete in helping them come to the transition into life or retirement, and the relief but yet the stress of what they thought it was going to do to friends, family, and social connections because of the fact that what they were counting on this individual, and you can't do that either. And then there's another one that was brought to light even more so this Olympics. And you would think this would not be the case, but silver and bronze. If you heard Lily King, she said, excuse my French, but this is BS. Because there were people on the social media that started to call out the USA and say, did we have a great performance because of the number of silver and bronze? And that brought a new level of pressure to elite athletes, because it's sometimes just expected that a gold medal will be won. And that kind of sometimes insults the process. So that's, if not balanced, and as a coach, we have to watch those roadblocks. And it's a lot like a safari. We become the what do you call that? The person who leads the safari. You basically, because if you don't have somebody that's always looking ahead and helping you balance, you will follow the tracks right into a lion's mouth. So you got those who are hunting have their eyes down. Those who are the person helping lead that safari is helping you see the future and see and keep you safe. And that's what our role as coaches is to do.
What's the role of fun in that equation. You are a fun guy. And when you look at some of the pictures of your team, it looks like you all are having fun. What's the role of fun, and how do you inject that into a very disciplined, high achieving group of people?
Yeah. Well, I think it starts with the leadership. Is when you say it, you have to mean it. You can't say, let's have fun, but boy, you better go out and win. That contradicts. I like to demonstrate in the way that where we put our work in practice. We do what needs to be done every day. And when we get to competition, then we have to turn it off and have fun. Because that's the time when we come together, and a lot of time with school schedules, with different training regimens, with different events. When we come together to compete is almost a team bonding situation. So it's a time for us to have fun, to learn, for each other to be fully engaged into and making it bigger than themselves, turning the mind off, looking and evaluating the process so that we're not too focused on the end result, but on the process to get to that, and to be able to make something bigger than themselves, and to create an atmosphere that is going to be enjoyable enough that you want to repeat it. And I think that's where you get sustainability, is when people want to repeat that over and over and over.
That's terrific. You alluded to this, but I'd love to have you say a little bit more about it. The impact of COVID on what was to have been the Olympic year, that being delayed a year, then athletes performing in empty arenas without their friends and family, in many cases, their key support network. What do you believe that impact was?
Oh, it's huge. I can give, and many coaches could give examples, but I can give many myself. I can, from all the way from having a conversation with an individual about depression, and how they didn't even want to buy into the fact that they could have had depression, but looking back on what they were numb going through. The fear is some people are driven by fear. Some people are paralyzed by fear. The fear of, I want to train, but if I get sick, I have to go 14 days of isolation. What does that do? How does that put me away? I would rather, I don't know. I mean, we had people retire early because they just couldn't see how it could be balanced both ways. And I couldn't guarantee them that it could be balanced both ways, because we were in an unknown territory as well. I also have somebody who was on the verge of making an Olympic team and had a breakdown and said, I don't think I want to go this Olympics because my parents can't go. Well, you know what's important to them. So they had a little bit of a aha moment of, why am I doing this? And is it important to do? I thought it was important to me, but I'm not even excited if I can't have everybody there to support me, because what and how do I show them how much I love them and appreciate what they've done if I can't give them or get them to the ultimate games in their mindset. So we had, it was a huge impact. And because of that impact, we have invested heavily into mental health. I have Dr. Joanna Perry. I work with a company called Hale Sports. I work with a company called Restoic, and many other resources, and bringing people in, because if, as a coach, you cannot get surprised by this. You have to be ahead of the game. You have to be aware. You have to ask questions. And you have to look for inconsistencies in behaviors. As coaches, we usually know our student athletes better than they know themselves. So we have to be able to have tough conversations.
That's great. And it's great that you have those resources to help you. That's really great and important. Would you have been in Tokyo if not for the restrictions?
I would not have been, not this year, but a little bit about myself is, my greatest joy in life is getting people to the Olympic Games and then heading off on a 1-week beach vacation and watching the Olympics with my family. at the beach and just enjoying it. I drive my family crazy because they're like, can you please, I mean, every heat, every swim, everything, you have a story or how they trained at Queens, but it's that's what I do. And what most people don't realize is at the Olympic Games, guess how you as a coach end up watching it? Usually on a TV back behind, because it is on NBC, it is on everything. They want that deck cleared. And so you're usually in a back room watching off a TV as well. One of the greatest joys that I have, and I was taught by my mentors, is try to train your swimmers to perform very well without you, because part of the experience that they'll always remember is being around other people. I couldn't imagine being somebody going somewhere new and experiencing it and going, oh my gosh, I'm with the same people every time. Enjoy all the new things that come to with you, and it really adds to the remarkable experience.
So with that in mind, what were your favorite stories from the pool this Olympics? What were the things that stood out to you?
Yeah, I'll go. There's about four or five names: Caleb Dressel, Katie Ledecky, Lydia Jacoby, and Bobby Fink. And I'll tell you about those. Caleb Dressel, just as pure emotion. Watching his family and knowing how hard he trains, and having had dinner with his coach not about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and talking about because our two swimmer Marius and Caleb swam a lot in the meet, in some of the meets. So it was great to see that come together. Katie Ledecky, because she's Katie Ledecky, but I think one of the greatest things was to watch how she handled a silver medal, and to know that I think it shows the world and our younger swimmers that don't ever take for granted that somebody's just going to win something or take it. Always train hard and know that you have a chance. Lydia Jacoby, because she proves to the world you can come from small towns. You don't have to have everything perfect. You don't have to, you can come from Alaska. You can have a first, and you can use your sport to gain notoriety for the state of Alaska, for where she's going to Texas eventually to swim. And it just, just how naive she was, her reactions were precious. And Bobby Fink, because a lot of people, they try to say that certain events could be dying, or are we putting in enough yards, or with COVID-19, will our distance swimmers, will they have had trained enough? And I would say watching him swim and win the gold, he not only trained enough, but he trained the right way, and he did everything he needed to do. And the way our distance swimmer swam was really, really good. So.
Yeah, I love all four of those swimmers and their performances. Lydia Jacoby was just precious to me, because when she unexpectedly won the gold, her eyes were as big as saucers, and they showed the reaction of everyone watching in a gymnasium, it looked like in Alaska, and it was just really spectacular.
Well, and I also enjoy, one of my good friends is Rowdy Gaines, and Rowdy's an Auburn grad like I am. And I love listening to him. I text him and I'm like, holy cow, did you sit down? You really, his calls are incredible. And, another swimmer who swam here for a little bit, but was Annie Laser, and she had a great story too.
That's great. That's wonderful. So this was the 2020 Olympics in 2021.
Yep.
The next Olympics is a mere 3 years away.
Yep.
Is that a good thing or a tough thing for competitors and potential competitors?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. I think this year my expectations were low, because what we did see was the year removal really took the older end of the athletes and at the top and pushed it over a little bit, and the newer came through. And and when that newer came through, it was how could they handle their first Olympics? And I feel like we handled it excellent. With that in mind now, I think they have room, and 3 years is going to be perfect for them to develop and to become more of our, I am hoping and counting on in 3 years, we'll have one of our best Olympics ever. And I hope that will also in Paris, and that will lead us into LA really nicely.
So I'd love your perspective on this because you talked a little bit about TV coverage and the impact of TV coverage. It's my understanding that ratings are down, potentially for a lot of different reasons, I'm sure, but people watch and experience events differently now. And so what would you expect to see, or if you were on contract to NBC, what would you tell them to do to make the Olympics more accessible and appealing in 2023?
Yeah, there's some things. I say that maybe one safe and one not so safe is, I think one not so safe is that one of the things is whether regardless of the aisle that you sit in, we have to stop making everything political. The Olympics, I have so many, one of my best friends was affected in 1980 by being boycotting, and the games in the athletics arena is not a place I feel to make a statement. Now, that is not me saying that an individual athlete can't make a statement. What I'm saying is perform, do your job, do and represent and be and show the world how we can come together, and then make your statement or do your statement or however you want to, but outside of the arena. And if you're that good, it will be heard, and it will be heard loud. So I think that's one thing. I think the other thing is one thing I noticed, and I could be wrong, I'd need to see the statistics, but something unique about athletes at the Olympic level is I used to joke with my mom, I had life too easy. That's why I never got to the Olympic Games. That every athlete has an incredible story, either from a small town in Alaska, through somebody telling them that they couldn't do it, through anything, you name it. I don't recall, or did I remember as many stories as we normally see. And I think we have to go to the human interest story, and more than ever right now, because athletics plays such a big part to unite us, not to divide us. And I feel that the Olympic Games has a very special role, because although I'm a fan of the Super Bowl is only popular, I hate to break it to everyone, is only popular in the United States. The Olympic Games is a worldwide experience, and the color on those rings, the red, the green, the black, the yellow, and the blue, is diversity and inclusion. And the way that they are intertwined is a symbolic place for us to come together.
That's amazing. And certainly we celebrate story. So we definitely would join you in saying, tell us the backstories. But I think that what you wrapped with there is a very significant point. Say more, do more around the diversity and inclusion that is a part of the Olympic Games and the Olympic spirit. That's great.
Yeah.
Right as we wrap here, would love to shift gears for just a minute. There have been some changes in NCAA regulations on student athletes and endorsements and really owning their name and their likeness. What do you think the impact of that will be on student or athletes in Olympic sports?
Yeah. I finished at 10:30. I finished a phone call with that on that exact subject. It's something we think is very good. We do want our student athletes to be rewarded. There's nothing more rewarding than to be able to see our athletes benefit from their success. What you're going to see is Texas A&M President Robert Gates is chairing a wholesale change of the NCAA, and it's going into effect September 1, and then they hope to have of their first endpoints in October, then to the committee in January to the NCAA to show how it's going to change. The NCAA as we know it and how it will affect Olympic sports is a little bit nerve-wracking. Change is nerve-wracking, and but I think it's going to help. But I think these wholesale changes is going to cause everybody. They're not going to see the NCAA as they've seen it today. As we look on the 12th of August today, it is going to be completely different. Now, you have two ways to go whenever change comes, right? And I tell our athletes, don't make it difficult, make it simple. You can go bitter or you can go better. At Queens, one of the things we're doing is we're trying to embrace and ready to go better. And whatever comes our way, we'll embrace it, and we will do our best to put a show on for our family, friends, and all those who come and support us in the Levine Center or at our sports complex or at Queens University as a whole, academically or athletically. We will do our best to showcase what we have with what we have, and that's what we do. And that's why I think we have so much success, is because we can do a lot with a little, and give us change and we'll lead it. So that's
Yeah.
where we are.
That's wonderful. And I think that's a wonderful way to wrap. Words to live by for people going through change. Be bitter or be better. Love that. Thank you so much, Lou, and I'll give it back to you.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, Jeff, you are just a statesman and so full of heart, and your insights. I just loved that. I just loved it. And thank you, Susie, for crafting such an interesting interview as well. How blessed are we that he's coaching swimmers with this heart and with this brilliance. And how blessed are we that you were with us this morning. You definitely made my day, and the chat is filled with your pearls of wisdom. Just loved it. Next up, Human Touch is taking a fall break, and so we'll be back with you on September 23rd when our guest is Tom Gabbard. Tom is the CEO of Blumenthal Performing Arts, and he will tell us all about the celebration called Charlotte Shout, which gets underway September 17th. Difficult to believe we're at that time of year, but we hope we'll see all of you at that time. A shout out to the Interact family on the line, Patrick Sheehan, Porter Metzler, of course, Susie, and Jess Barilla is with us, but is I think doing other things, so you might not have seen her beautiful face. And Kara is our West Coast correspondent. We claim Kara, and she is a deep, deep friend of the Interact team. But once again, Jeff, wow, thank you. That was, I just think, one of our best experiences on Human Touch.
Thank
Everybody go have a good day.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Thank you, everyone.
Wow, he is
What spectacular, wasn't it?